Hi everybody, I'm so happy to see you all. So it has been a little while since I have been on here sharing things with you. And there are a few reasons for that. First of all, I was going through some more health complications, and we had to address those, and there were kind of a few things that happened at once, which I'll share with you in the future. And so I had to address those things. And on top of that, obviously end of school year, my son is incredibly busy and all of that stuff, but some feedback and questions I got across my different social media platforms and where I write, and some of my clients and people that I speak to, some of the feedback addressed that I kind of am like bouncing around. There were a lot of questions that have been asked that I would really like to answer. And many people spoke to me and shared with me that what they really are interested in hearing is the relationship with my ex and my children, what happened with that, and then connecting those experiences to childhood experiences for how it began to play out. So I want to go step by step through that, through all of those things. And also, first of all, I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank you for your grace. I am still learning all of this stuff. I'm very new. I'm not editing at all yet. I'm sure that you can tell. And just trying to find my footing for the best path forward. So the feedback is always so wonderful to me. So a big thing happened just this past week that I want to share with you. So this past week, we hit our 2-year anniversary of leaving our hometown, just my youngest son, my husband, and myself, in order to start new and really begin the deepest healing, the deepest path forward for myself and for our son, and just to where we lived before is home to nearly all of my abusers. And there just was not a lot of respite for that. And the impact that decades of abuse had on me, which included being very close to a psychotic break, having a body that just could no longer handle not just the stress, but the hormones associated with it, the damage that was happening to my body, all of those things. And I had actually been told for years by my care team that I needed to leave. And because I had 2 other sons who were in the area, I chose to stay, and it cost me a lot, which we'll get into also. But regardless, those are the choices that I made. And I don't look back on those choices with any type of regret. As you will hear in my story and as I share more, everything I did for my children, and everything I did for my children, I sincerely believed was the best option and the best way to proceed forward at the time. So in reminiscing on the 2 years, I shared this today on I think Facebook, So I thought I would just read this to you. Excuse me for looking down, but I thought I would just read so I can share with you, and I'll go into it just a little bit more. So it says, this week has marked 2 years that we've resided in Oklahoma, which means it's just about over 2 years since truth finally began pouring out from various sources. If you know me, you know I'm a firm believer that the truth always comes out. Peter and I were not prepared for all that flooded us, but we were and remain grateful. Decades of lies and denials confirmed as truth in very short order. We began to touch a new aspect of freedom. A few significant things occurred immediately after. We decided that we're leaving Ohio. I hit, fortunately, one of my final override, overwhelm, dissociation, survival responses, and I hit the road into nothingness in search of a new location, all of which led to landing in this little town that we love so dearly. Had you told me the greatest, most profound growth of my life would begin at 46, I would have challenged that notion, but it's true. And it's been the experience of Peter and Solomon as well. Solomon is becoming who he was created to be more every day, and it's my heart's delight. Like me, in the absence of abuse, drama, and chaos, and the introduction of utter stability and safety, he is confident, deeply passionate, has close friends, and he is blooming in each facet of his being. He radiates resilience, and its beauty beyond measure. Peter and I have a marriage I've always dreamed of. Although we are still battling through my medical issues and new diagnoses, we continue to conquer it all together. We continue to nurture one another in all the reasons that we fell in love, even as we pursue relentless adventure and experiences. We remain more committed than ever in our communication, decisions, and passions, like cooking together again. When Gail's my best friend, when she came to visit a few months back, she commented that he was the most relaxed and happiest she had ever seen him. Gail and I have been friends for over 20 years, and she's known Peter the whole time we've been together. And that was a gift to us, we thought. He's resumed some of his favorite hobbies like music, as well as new ones, including ham radio, and it's been very fun to watch. As for me, I can hardly but look back to who I was and believe it's the same person. I'm not actually the same. My nervous system is now stabilized. I understand and identify triggers easily now, and I honor them, no longer dissociate. I continue to restore my mind and body with the diligent fervor of a woman on fire, ready to truly and fully come alive and live. With the body regaining strength and endurance, coupled with the mind that, away from abuse, pain, and manipulation, functions clearly and soundly, I too have been able to dive into things I love. Writing, yoga, reading, and plants, just a few. There are no crises. I am learning to trust again. The walls and facades are done, and my confidence is returning. 3 years ago, I was looking to bring lawsuits against all of them. I had cases and such that I had planned originally on moving forward with, but no more. It may sound trite, but none of them are worth it. I've watched all of them remain unhappy, bitter, and filled with rage, and I want no action on my part to lead to any of those in my life. I carry on with my own healing, trying to surrender and trust more daily, leaning into faith, wholly convicted that truth comes out and love wins. If I'm honest, I admit I don't know where I'd be without each of you. Your willingness to speak truth, carry me through darkness, love me and my kids unconditionally, and save me when I had given up and I planned to exit stage right permanently. Now I'm seeking life completely. I embrace radical acceptance and the power of now. I've always wanted to see what happens when I don't give up and don't give in, and I love myself to life the way I do others. And I'm getting to do that every day, and every moment I take grateful breaths. The peace I sought for decades comes easily now. I've forgiven the people and their actions, rendering myself liberated from control and vengeance and rumination. Away from it all, I'm the most still, content, and whole I've ever been. I don't know many people who've been given a second chance that allows them to keep their sights on what they love the most, while also having the opportunity to center on their passions long ago abandoned. I do not take this for granted, and I remain filled with gratitude each minute. If you're the praying type, I hope that you'll keep us in your prayers. And that includes for my middle son, who we miss dearly and is going through his own challenges right now. And I'm very grateful to everyone and believe that you're a miracle. So that's kind of what I wrote and published today, and I mean all of those sincerely. It has been very telling and very profound to be able to look back at the past 2 years. When I first arrived here, I was still very agoraphobic. I didn't leave much. My body was still rebelling and fighting against me and trying to find stability. And to see how far I've come in just 2 very short years is truly miraculous. Even more so with my son, and I'll go into a lot of that in greater detail a little bit later. So I made some notes just so I can honor everyone and kind of address the different things. So a lot of people have asked me, can I start defining things like trauma bonds and enmeshment and kind of the more psychological terms, and use those not just in the language but show examples? And the answer to that is yes, and I plan on doing that. The other questions I get very, very frequently are about the lifetime that I lived being in a constant position of being shamed and humiliated relentlessly, and how I was able to forgive. So I think that a big part of that has been the understanding that I have for myself what shame and humiliation does. And that ultimately they are kind of this almost highest form of control and manipulation. Especially with narcissists, what you will see and understand is that when narcissists speak, they're not speaking about you. When narcissists speak, it is their truth that they are speaking. And I know this firsthand because my ex didn't know me, and he does not know me still. And it is the same for my family of origin. I have probably spent the least amount of time in my life with all of those people because I understood, I wish I would have maintained, but I understood the need long ago to protect myself from them and the things that they did. And I stuck around for so long because I thought I needed to understand. And I thought that I could change myself enough that they would love me and accept my kids and all this stuff. And just none of that is true, you know. And the issue with shame is that shame is like this lie. And it is the ultimate lie because shame tells us that we have to hide the true nature of our being. And I just don't agree with that. And that comes up a great deal in religion It is a huge tactic of abusers across the board, but especially narcissists. They believe that it's a power play. They believe, and that goes hand in hand with me in terms of forgiveness. To me, forgiveness is freedom to use and live my future. When I don't forgive those people who have had any type of hold or control on me at any time in my life, is all I do is extend power to them to keep me stuck at some point in my past. And it's a place that I refuse to be and remain, because I'm not the person of my past, and hopefully no one is. Although you'll learn with narcissists that they usually have not changed at all. And it's very unique. Most narcissists in particular they are just very hurt children. What I have noticed in terms of patterns, with my family of origin, with my ex, his family of origin, is that at some point their very young self was put into a scary and shameful position over which they had no control. They were made to believe the lie of shame, and that hindered their healing. And in the hindrance of healing, the lies and shame of that experience or experiences began to grow, and it began to define them. And when that happens, and we don't understand that the telling of our story is what brings freedom, and we don't understand that living lies and secrets makes the problem grow, especially to the next generation, is all we do is just duplicate it on and on. And I've seen that, as I've shared in other videos with you. I was raised in a very terrible, incestuous home. 2 years ago, I found out that had continued, and that someone who, was like a caretaker, had sexually abused one of my children and one of their children. And that secrecy continues, and I have been shunned because I decided to be honest and tried to get help out of fear that this would continue with the next generation child. But it is not my job to fix everybody, and it's not my job to rescue and save everyone. And because I was made to believe that for a very long time, I lived in a state of constant stress and anxiety, of constant performance, of seeking so many unhealthy things that then would make me very unwelcome in a great deal of settings and things along those lines. So that is just kind of the beginning of how I understand these things. The other thing is, these things that happened to me in my lifetime began happening before I had even started school, so before kindergarten. And as a child, especially a child that young, it was the adults, and in particular, the parental should have been requirement, right? To protect me and I have realized that a lot of that shame and humiliation gets projected forward by abusers, and especially by narcissists, because they will not take any accountability for their actions and they will deny it. And instead of them doing that, what they try to do is keep you locked into these things by reinforcing, what they think should be shameful things. But those are all just lies and manipulation tactics that allow them not just to keep a hold on you, but allow them a significant level of control in and over your life. And I see that with my siblings constantly, which I'll go into. So, starting on the next video, which I hope to do just here in the next couple days, I will do a quick layout of my childhood and kind of all of those major moments. And then I will start into what happened surrounding the birth of my first child. And I will begin to connect all those points so that hopefully if you are seeking to connect points, and if you are seeking to heal, and if you are seeking to understand, that this will allow you to show kind of that chain reaction of what happens, and then how you begin to break all of it and find freedom and peace and happiness. So I hope that you're all doing well. I hope that you're enjoying every minute of summer that you can. I'm grateful for you. You are all miracles, and I will see you soon.